All right, welcome back to another episode of SkiUPod. Here we are, fellas. It's the big one. Gophers taking on Wisconsin Badgers this Saturday, 2:30 FS1. Um, I think it would be a disservice to our fans if we didn't briefly and very briefly touch upon what happened last week against Ohio State. I'll let you guys say your piece. To me, it really just came down to, obviously they were much more talented than us. I was not expecting a victory by any means, but I just felt like for the most part, PJ didn't give us a chance either, or like the attitude would seem to be like we play with, and not from like a player's lack of trying, but just like basically, what I'm getting at is punting from Ohio State side of the field twice in the first half when it's still a ball game. You know, it's just frustrating. Once again, it just seems like PJ doesn't have the whereabouts to know. Like, I feel like a lot of fans knew you're not going to get in that position many times throughout the game. It's by every metric a top five defense against everything in the nation. So once you're there, got to kind of take advantage of it. So I was frustrated with those punts from the Ohio State 42 and 46 or 45, I believe, basically around that area. Punted it twice and got a couple of yards closer in the fourth quarter and kicked a field goal, which whatever. But so that was my main frustration. I just feel like the coaches didn't even really coach with you gotta to upset a team like that. You gotta take some chances when you're that heavily out talented, and we didn't. We played our offense and just hoped it would be enough, and clearly it wasn't, and that's why the score was the 37-3 or 38-3. It was bad. So 37-3 was the final in that one, and actually even before the punts, the running on third and long and third and medium. I know you have numbers in the box there, so you think, but your O line didn't show you anything all game that you're going to be able to run the ball consistently. So that was just another head scratching call. Like I'd rather take my chances drawing something up for Spanford or Daniel Jackson 1-on-1. And yeah, defense wasn't great, but played better than I thought they would in the first half. First drive was rough, but the rest of the first half was good, and the second half was just not very good from them. Offense, uh, just not a good day really from anyone. Maybe Corey Crooms had a solid day, I thought. Newbin did his best, but other than that, that was really it. Anything you guys want to add to that, or any other takeaways you guys had?
I guess for me, from what PJ talked about in his press conference, they asked about the punting or what was his thought process, and his answer was basically, his goal is to keep the team in the game, and why not pin them deep? Well, what
Yeah,
do you do? Stop Ohio State? I mean, I don't understand what that even means. Keep us in the game. It was 7-0. We're a 27 and a half
yeah.
point underdog. We're not even in it to begin with. Why not? I don't know. It's it's basically taking first pitch strikes all game and bunting when you're down 8.
There you
Like
go. Shout out to the
it,
baseball fans here.
I don't know. It made no sense. And yeah, on the defensive side of the ball, obviously the youth doesn't help. But just time and time again, linebackers just not being in the right run fit really stood out to be the most obvious thing, as like we're just not coaching the young guys. I don't know. Like it wasn't a lack of physicality or size
Yeah,
or athleticism. Like they're playing hard, but you watch a linebacker just run to the wrong gap multiple times. And I mean, I'm not a college football expert when it comes to X's and O's, but you know where the guy is supposed to be. If he messes it up once, or there's the offensive line does some sort of exotic blocking scheme and he bites on it, sure, but time
yeah,
and time again, especially like the outside run, we had the I think their one touchdown, we had two linebackers get blocked by one guy because they just didn't pick up the right
yeah.
spot. So that stood out to me as the most frustrating thing.
Can I jump in on that really quick about the linebackers? Because the other thing he kept talking about, and I saw some fans kind of buying in that were devastated at linebacker. we have two injuries. Correct me if I'm wrong. There's two
Yeah.
linebackers out. Yes, probably your best two, but I think it's safe to say that there were some misses in probably recruiting and guys that we thought would be okay transferring into play there that are just not up to snuff. Because what team doesn't have two linebackers hurt at some point in the year? Like it's pretty
Right.
common. They're the most physical position, arguably. You know,
And
O
at the
line, D
same
line, but
position too. Like it's
right,
one
but like
spot.
it. You're telling me Iowa or Northwestern or any other team in the West wouldn't be able to like, hey, our two middle linebackers are out. All right, let's bump in Devin Williams or the Will linebacker or something. But no, we're just stuck going with true freshmen or walk-ons. So it doesn't make sense to me. I get people leave in the portal and whatnot, but you only brought one guy in the portal. So that to me is a very frustrating excuse that I'm not, yes, the
Right.
injuries suck, and I'm not saying these young guys that are getting in can't be something. I'm not saying they're the misses. I think it's the guys that have left and lack of getting people in the gaps between them and Cody Lindenberg that are the misses. How do you? I don't get. I don't. That doesn't. There's two guys missing
Yeah. And it's
and
not
the
like they both
safety.
went down just last week. Like Cody's been out all year, so the kids
Cody's
that
been
have
out
been
all
playing
year.
are
Mav
basically
just
been the
got hurt
twos.
last week, or
Right.
Purdue. Yeah, like you weren't ready for anything else. Like that's just frustrating to me. But sorry, Spence, I'll let you get in here.
I really don't have much more to add. I agree with that. I'd understand too if these guys weren't ready to play, week one, two, three, up to six, I guess. But this is the second to last game of the season, and you can't get in the right gap. You can't do your assignment. It's just bizarre. And like you said, Kurt, it's not like we're asking them to make miraculous plays against Ohio State. They're going to be able to get many yards, off of plays. They're athletic. They're one of the top teams in the country. Everyone knows that. But it's almost a sense of you walked in there and you just kind of folded right when you hit the field. And I think that's a trickle down attitude. Honestly, it starts at the top. I think PJ wanted to get in there and out of there as fast as he could, um, and make it look not as bad as it could. But it looked bad. I mean, you're
Yeah,
not giving any effort, I that's kind of what upsetted me the most. Punting on their side, it's Ohio State. You got to give those chances. If you're not playing for anything else this year, like maybe a bowl game, that could be something that you're looking forward to.
yeah,
It's not going to be a glamorous bowl, but you got to inspire these athletes, PJ. You have to look to something. It's Ohio State, top team in the country. How cool would it have been to give up a good fight at their house? Inspire something. But
yeah,
if up top they're not looking to do that, then it's just gonna, like I said, trickle down. And I'm on to the next week. To be honest, it was a pathetic
yeah.
performance. I
And
just
yeah, best thing on PJ for this game. I get like you play. He plays trestle ball, so he's gonna punt and try and in his mind he punts the ball. You don't make a mistake. You make them go the field and make them not make mistakes. Well, okay, but they hadn't been making mistakes against you guys all first quarter and or really all year. They've been efficient. They haven't been that explosive as we've seen from Ohio State, but they've been efficient. And then you go look at your own team, and this is the disconnect where he doesn't have a feel for like his own team out there. Like your defense, what defense have you seen the past month that makes you think, you know what, we're gonna make them go the length of the field? Something will happen where we get the ball in like a better position. Like best case scenario, they're gonna just flip the field right back on you. Like with the defense you've had. So well, the defense you've had. But yeah, it's just that's the frustrating thing about PJ. And so when other fans talk about, oh, he's not allowed to have a down year, he is allowed to have a down year. Like absolutely, I'm not naive to Minnesota having down years as we go on. We don't get a bunch of 5 and 4 star guys all the time, but it's that coaching style and those kind of decisions that just get you so. worn down as a fan because you're not doing things to help those guys on the field get the best chance of winning. I know you feel like you are by playing maybe a philosophy, like a safe philosophy out there, but you got to know what your own team's been showing you and doing, and that just seems to be the part that he doesn't quite have down, I would say. So,
Right. And
um,
having a down year is one thing, but having games where you're just not even competitive, or like games that you just gave
yeah,
away. I mean, we had a path to win the West, like with
yeah.
the
I mean,
roster we had. I mean, the roster is not, it's not the
yeah,
best, but it's not what the record is. But we've
right,
played down to that level, so that to me is the most frustrating part. Is it a down year? I mean, yeah, like compared to other years, like there's a lot of turnover and new
yeah,
faces, but talent wise, it
yeah,
wasn't as big of a drop off as it appears to be,
yeah.
or it shouldn't have been.
I agree, and maybe this will let's just start. Let's move on. I'm sure Ethan will come up here. So, like I said, Gophers taking on the Badgers all time, guys. I don't care. I know we're a little bit down right now. I don't care though if the Gophers are winless. You get up for the Wisconsin game. Like it's for the Axe. It's the best trophy in college football. As Gopher fans, I'm biased. It's obviously my favorite rivalry in college football. I get why it's not nationally, but to me, even if you're a national college football fan, I don't get how this isn't top five. Just as far as the tradition and history that goes into it. I mean, it's tied. It's the longest played rivalry, and it's tied right now all time in the series. So, um, anyways, let's dive into it, guys. Spencer, I'll let you start here. Let's start with the Gophers offense going against Wisconsin defense. What's your gut feeling telling you? What are things you're looking for, and just what do you think is just going to give us the best chance of success this Saturday?
I think running the football effectively, honestly, starting up front. I feel like I say that a lot, but it's the truth, especially against West opponents. Um, I'm hoping all of our backs are healthy, or most of them. I do trust Jordan Newman. He's been doing really well. It'd be nice to have Darius back, or Evans back there as well. Maybe a three-headed monster. We'll see. But also, I think what's really kind of gotten the Gophers kind of the edge in the past few years is kind of opening the playbook. It's as if PJ has been saving everything he's got for this game. I don't know if it's when, he comes here and you say, "Hey, if you beat Wisconsin, you'll be here forever." Maybe he's taken that quite literally.
I know it
Um,
feels like it. I
it feels
I
like
agree.
that. But just I think you have to let it all loose. I do think that you can't just be one dimensional in this game. Get a nice play action. Maybe get Brevin Ford involved. We saw, was it a few years ago, he had that nice long play that kind of sealed the deal. To win the Axe at home, that was pretty sweet. Um, and just like I said, nothing one dimensional, but getting all your players involved, attacking each receiver, not kind of just looking at Daniel Jackson. I mean, he's going to be a key to winning this game, too, I think. But also getting some Crooms in there, Elijah Spencer, maybe, kind of divvying the ball up a little bit. And I think that it all comes down to Ethan. I feel like Ethan hasn't really shown me a whole lot kind of the second half of the season. And I know we were talking about coaching, um, and that certainly hasn't helped him, but I still haven't really seen something that I'm like, he's the guy. He is the guy that's going to take us to the next step the next few years. So, keys of the game: open up the playbook, tough up front, and I think Ethan needs to have a solid game, best game of his year. And I think that the Gophers can handle the Badgers.
Yeah, Max, how are you feeling? Let's just play it this way for a second. What are you feeling if we're I won't say stuck, but if you're limited to basically just a Jordan Newman rushing attack against this Badger defense?
Yeah, I mean, obviously not ideal, but I think looking at the Wisconsin defense, especially compared to previous years, Still obviously a good defense, but a little more bend but don't break than they've been in the past. And I think the biggest thing is just the difference in the D line. Like it's a lot lighter of a defensive front, and both from a physically the players not being, they don't have this giant mammoth D line like they've had in the past. And then two, coming out in more 2-3 down lineman type defensive formations. So I feel like that's definitely something we can take advantage with our offensive line being as big as it is. And if Jordan Newman has to take the bulk of the carries, he obviously doesn't have the explosiveness as a Taylor or an Evans, um, but he does read his blocks well, and he's a good patient runner, and he's a smart runner. It seems like. So if we can open up the gaps that defensive line is going to give us, and he can take advantage and you know get 4 or 5 yards of carry, I'd take that all day.
Yeah. No, that's really well put. I think we're all very happy with Newman, especially coming in, as the fourth or fifth string guy. But like you said, it's just like you noticed it in that Ohio State game too. Evans just has, um, let's say, more natural talent, just a little bit more escapability, and can create a little bit more of what's not there, or take more advantage of what is there. I should maybe say. Yeah, the O line's going to be huge. It's up there for me as my key to the game. Let me throw this at you guys. I think, just with how the season's gone, not the way you wanted it, but I think you gotta go back to, maybe trying to, and not full on, but like maybe you go back to how you thought your offense was going to look at the start of the year. I'm not saying throwing 42 times like we did against Nebraska, but I'm talking about getting Spanford involved early. Like he came back preseason All American. When he's catching the ball, he is an X factor. So I would love to see getting him involved early and just being a headache to deal with. And then that opens up Daniel Jackson on the outside to be doing what, for the most part, he's done all year. Spencer, like you mentioned, Corey Crooms had a nice game last game. Be nice to continue to mix him in. He seems to be doing really well on like those medium to 20-25 yard routes that we send him on. So definitely mixing that in as well. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's gonna come down to what can Ethan do, because if it is only Newbin that you really have back there at running back, you're gonna need to see the Ethan you saw last year against Wisconsin. I don't know if you'll need 300 yards out of this Ethan again, but he needs to play much more like he did that game than what we've seen this year. And you know, sticking with Ethan here for a second, like Ryan Burns said it really well on his Ohio State review podcast on Gopher Gridiron. We're at 11 games into this season, and we still don't know what we're going to get from Ethan game to game. You have no idea. And it's just one of the most frustrating things about this year, because even if it's going to be a building year, you know, they kind of went all in on Ethan and the receivers, and just building the offense around him. And this is this is the year that's supposed to give you some answers, and right now we don't have answers, or the answer isn't that great of what we're seeing. So um yeah, anything you guys want to add on that, or I guess we can move on. That's just the frustrating part at this point in the year.
Yeah, I don't know if it's yeah, I don't know if it's a trust thing or if it's just something that they're not seeing from Ethan where they want him to be, to really unleash him per se. Like, is there something is there some criteria that they want him to meet either in a game or in a practice or whatever that they just don't think he's there yet to do the things that they want him to do schematically? Is it the plays? Is it reading the defenses? I don't know. I guess the one out I would give him is, how much of the mistrust in the pass game can be attributed to all the drops too. I think that's really the big, if you're going to be on the side of Ethan is definitely 100% the guy, you could easily just point to, well, outside of Daniel Jackson, you
Yeah, we
can't
drop it a
really
lot.
throw to anyone that's going to consistently catch the football either. So, I mean, that's really the one big out I can think of. But it's really because it's the obvious one you can see, right? You don't know what Ethan's thinking in the pocket.
Yeah.
We can see that he gets a little bit flustered sometimes when there's pressure, but um,
That's the biggest thing too. I think if he could, and it's way harder to do, and it's almost tough to coach. But if he could hang in there, his arm is so strong. Even if he could just kind of like get a little bit more depth, maybe even in the pocket, just to buy a little bit of time, because there's times where yeah, the pocket's kind of moving around him, but I thought there was times still, the protection wasn't great last game, but it felt like there was he bailed on it almost too quick at times. I felt, but
yeah,
it's obviously way that's total. I get it's total armchair quarterbacking for a guy that's in his first full season, the starter. But he is, it is his third year here, so I think it's okay to kind of hope for these things, especially because that was kind of the player he was sold to us to be. So um, for me, that's my biggest question mark for him. I think at this point is just is he fully reading it, or is it as soon as he lacks pressure, it seems like his eyes come down and he's instantly looking of where he's got to go or to get out of
right.
there. But
I feel like
I
we
don't know.
rarely see a check down. Like if things don't open up,
Yeah,
it's like, and we're screwed. Like
yeah,
there's
exactly.
good offenses, like even if things aren't there, there's always that, there's that release valve available
Yep,
that we just
yep.
don't do.
No, it's a good point.
Uh,
Oh man. All right.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I could kind of go on with this one, but like, I guess what I'll say is, even if this was a down year, like you said, Kurt, everyone's due for one. And if there's a year to have a down year, I guess it's this one for the Gophers. But to me, it's like, I don't even know. Like, in every phase of the game, you should be able to say, all right, this is a down year, but we're showing some shimmers here. Like there's some spots here that looks good. Next year it's going to be developed. We'll kind of make sure that this looks good. I just don't really see that. I don't know what we've improved on throughout the duration of this year. And that's kind of what's daunting. Sure, they're going to be better next year, I think. I think things will get cleaned up. But yeah, Kurt, I don't know. Like you said, it's Ethan's third year. We haven't really seen much growth from him, so it's a little worrisome.
Yeah. And we'll definitely talk about that more after the regular season and whatnot. But it is kind of, I feel like it's almost like a catch 22. Like you want to make sure that Ethan's getting developed as a quarterback. So it's like, okay, do we need a new O coordinator or maybe QB coach there to help develop him? But on the flip side, it's like, do you really want him with another offensive coordinator at this point? Because he's had Soraka, he's had the guy we got rid of before Soraka. I can't.
Stanford, Mike
Yes,
Stanford.
and yeah. So and this is his third in Greg Harbaugh, and I know Simon helps out, but it's mainly Harbaugh it seems. So it's just I think I would rather, to be honest, I'd rather see the staff back because that way if it's the player or the staff, if that makes sense. Or at least
Agreed.
the staff is kept around, so if you do move off Ethan at some point, it's the same staff and they get, some chemistry
Yeah.
going and whatnot. But anyway, that's probably a more of a postseason discussion. So we can move on now. Max, we'll start with you this time. Gophers defense versus this Wisconsin offense. Um, what? I'll ask the same thing to you. What are your keys for the Gophers having success, and just maybe what are some of the challenges that they might see against this Wisconsin team?
Yeah, I mean the keys obviously we kind of talked about the health of the team. If we can get either of our linebackers back would be a huge benefit. Either in Maverick Baranowski or Cody Lindenberg. I haven't really heard any news. I'm sure we won't hear until game time what to expect, but that's the obvious one. Having that basically the quarterback of the defense out there is going to be huge. Um, Outside of that, this Wisconsin team kind of coming in with the new look, I guess air raid offense. They still rely on the ground game a lot. Like it is a pretty balanced look, but um, they're trying to obviously create more space and more opportunities for kind of chunk plays. So really the short to medium passes are what we're going to lock down. I kind of was writing notes just watching some of the Wisconsin film, and the biggest thing I could think of as far as like a key is just we have to win the flat. like if we can lock down the flats, because everything that they run, right? Like if they're running kind of a read option with the little bubble screen, any play action, there's always someone in the flat that's open, and then a lot of just kind of stretch run plays too, where they wind up in the kind of the boundaries of the field. So if we can lock down basically runs up the middle, short to medium pass game. I mean, I know Tanner Mordecai is back. He played pretty well last game. He does show that he can run some too. Obviously, they want him to be a passer, but he does have that escapability, which has killed the Gophers we in our containment. So that's kind of the biggest thing that I look for as far as an area that could really hurt us is if we don't finish on a sack or we give him too much time and don't contain him, that he can
Yeah.
escape for 5 yards. So yeah, the biggest thing is really if they're going to throw the ball, make him try to throw it deep, make him get it over Tyler Nubin's head. I mean, that's let our guys make the plays.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of three things for me. Number one, I think that our defensive line is going to have to play a great game. And I think if they do that, the Gophers will be in good shape. I think the defensive line has been the highlight of this Gopher defense this season. It's been awesome. Just unfortunate that kind of the other slots in the defense have been kind of crumbling a little bit. Number two, don't let anything behind you. I feel like too many times this season we've allowed teams to kind of get that big deep chunk play and then they end up getting 3 points because of it. Can't let anyone behind you in this game. They're going to take advantage of that. Like you said, Max, they kind of spread the field. They are going to take some shots, I think. So don't let anything behind you. If you can contest a ball and they catch it, so be it. But no one should be running free behind our secondary. Then lastly, just do your job. Linebackers need to just fill their gaps, do their jobs, and then hopefully make some tackles. We're not asking them to be top linebackers in the Big Ten. Simply just do your job, fill gaps, stop the run, make sound tackles, and I think fundamental football will ultimately, win the defense this game. So those are my top three things I think against this Wisconsin team.
Yeah, what worries me the most is just going to be the linebacker play for the most part. If they're putting a lot of stress on our linebackers, Max, you said cover the flat. Well, that's mainly going to be the linebackers along with the corners, but the linebackers flowing out there. Our pass coverage from the linebackers and the zone dropbacks just has not been there really all year. It was probably a little bit better with Cody Lindenberg in there. He's just faster, more athletic, a quality Big Ten linebacker, and it's noticeable, without him. So if we don't have Cody back or Mav back, I think it's going to be a really tough sledding. I've tweeted it out. I've said it multiple times. I think Braylon Allen is an overrated running back for Wisconsin standards. He gets all this praise, and I think he is a good running back. Let me make that clear because I'm sure he'll have a pretty solid day this upcoming Saturday against us. But I just don't put him in the top tier. It's like, we saw that role of Monte Ball, James White, Melvin Gordon, Jonathan Taylor, all the guys in between. They're like, that was incredible. Every highlight I see of Jonathan, now I'm getting them mixed up. Jonathan, no, what's his name?
Braylon Allen
Jonathan
Braylon Allen.
Allen.
Jeez,
Okay.
yeah. See, this guy's not for it. No. Every highlight I see of Braylon Allen, it's more like the hole's already there for him. So, like, I get he's a big dude, but I don't know. He just seems to get banged up a lot and not be maybe the most physical of backs. But against our inexperienced linebackers, I feel like it could look very different very quickly just with his experience, and he is strong. And so having those guys need to make an open tackle on him, that's what worries me in this game a lot, is just the quality of linebacker play, and once you start getting gashed, then your safety jumps up and then you get beat deep, and that's just the worries I have this one. So my keys of the game would really be, can you get solid linebacker play behind this D line, and if the D line can do something extra to help them out, that'd be great. I don't think this Wisconsin line is as special as we've seen in the past. It's definitely not as dominant as they've been back when they were making Rose Bowl runs, or even back in the 2019 season when they beat the Gophs at home that year. So definitely an opportunity for our D line to maybe I don't want to say take over this game, but have a major impact on this game and swing it our direction. So special teams, stay out of the way. That's gonna be huge. Anything? I got nothing else on special teams. Just do your job. Stay out of. Whoa,
Uh,
wait. They had a good game. They were the best they've looked maybe on Saturday. So props to that.
I mean, if they could return a punt return for a touchdown like we saw back in
Yeah.
2018, that would be pretty sweet. I highly doubt that'll happen, but it's things like that that can really change the game, kind
Yeah.
of put it in your favor. So, based on what we've seen, I second that, Kurt. Just stay out of the way.
I've said his name before, but is Dragon Kesich our team MVP? He's got to have more points than our
Oh,
offense, right?
yeah. I don't know who else you would even put up there. I guess Newbin, just from the big plays that he has made. But
Right.
yeah, no, I'm down. We can put him up there as MVP for this year. Maybe our long snapper. I haven't had a bad snap all year. Knock on wood, because that would be. Actually, we did dribble one back against. Or was that just this snap? Anyway, all right. Let's get into score predictions, fellas. I'm gonna go first, and this is based off of. I'm gonna assume, just because Zach Evans just got re-injured against Ohio State, and Darius Taylor's listed as out, not questionable. I'm gonna assume we're just with Newbin. So to me, that means you need Ethan to step up and be that guy that you saw glimpses of last year. Haven't seen it yet, so I don't have a lot of hope in that. And then switching over to the other side of the ball, Cody Lindbergh warmed up, so maybe he is back, which would be huge. But my prediction is under the assumption he is not. So I think the Gophers have a chance to hold up in the red zone, but I do think that they put a little bit too much stress on the linebackers this game. And I don't want to be Mr. Negative, but I got the Badgers taking this one, fellas, 23-16. Just too much inconsistency. I would love to flip the script. It's a beatable Badger team. It really is. I think talent wise, it's as easy as even it could get, really. So, but I know that's not what we want to hear going in. I'm not trying to be negative. That's just how I see it play out. I don't think the linebacker play is going to be there enough. So I got 23-16 Badgers.
I'm gonna go with. Well, here's what's gonna happen. Here's my prediction. We've lamented PJ this year of all of these things that he's been doing, but I think that he's going to be ready for this game. I really do think that he takes this game really seriously. I really do. Since they told him that, I really think he wears that on his sleeve. And it seems like all these seasons we've really kind of taken it to the Badgers. And so I think that PJ will get these guys up for it. Bowl games on the line. Won't be a pretty one, but it still extends your season, gets the young guys some more reps, get you prepared for next season. So I think that the Gophers will do this 20-17 nail biter. I think Wisconsin will try and get the field goal to tie for OT, but they miss.
I like it.
Huntington Bank erupts, storms the field,
Yeah,
takes the axe.
love it.
Yeah. I think for me, like we talked about, just getting the team healthy. Hopefully, we have some guys back. Yeah, keys on offense, just dominate their D line with our O line. I know we've got probably one of the bigger offensive lines in college football. Plus Brevin Spanford. I know he doesn't block to his size, but something we can still utilize. Hopefully, keep the run game moving in a positive direction. If it is just Newbin. And yeah, if we can get the ball in Daniel Jackson's hands, just to he's one of our best playmakers, but it's hard to get him the ball consistently. But if we can do that, I think that separates our offense from their offense. So for me, I'm predicting a Gopher win, 26-18. A little bit more high scoring because I think we can take advantage of their defense. Like I said, it's a little more bend but don't break. We've been good and we've actually improved a lot in the red zone scoring. So if we can, take advantage of our opportunities, and then defensively, you know, if we can really just prevent prevent the run after catch. They're going to try to dink and dunk down the field. If we can prevent the deep shots, if we can get some turnovers, you know, situationally too, Wisconsin is kind of coming off a big emotional win against Nebraska in overtime. They kind of got the monkey off their back after the losing streak. So obviously they're going to be up for this one, but at least we can bury the tape from last week. So we've been on to Wisconsin since like
Yep.
Yeah.
second quarter of last Saturday. So
Right.
Yeah. Hey, no, I love that. Yeah, if we have Cody Lindenberg back, that changes everything. I think it really does. If you have
yeah,
Darius Taylor back, that's huge as well. But you know, yeah, I will say the D line. Maybe I, in my initial look through at this one, I might have underestimated our D line's ability to swing it our way. Like they could make things messy for Allen, where maybe our linebackers just have to come in and clean it up. So hopefully that plays out there. I like it. Okay, guys, I got a take for you. I tweeted it out. A lot of people viewed it. Not a lot of people engaged with it. So I'm going to assume a lot of people don't agree with me on this. Rivalry week is pretty cool. That all these big time games are going on. You got Gophers versus Badgers. You got, Auburn, Alabama playing. You got the game happening in the morning. It is a terrible idea from our marketing standpoint for college football. And it's just a huge, as I said in the tweet, travesty to college football lunatics that just want to watch as many games as possible. I do not understand how you get to this point in the year where we've probably had about 3 weeks now, 3 weekends, not in a row, but like over the course of the season, where you had people complaining about weaker slates. I was not one of those people, but you do get those people. And I think if you're going for a bigger audience, why not spread out all of these huge rivalry games throughout the season so you get more eyeballs and more exposure on these games? I know you're always going to watch your own team's game, but like my idea or just a thought was, what if you just did it by conference almost? Where like, yeah, last week of October is Pac-12 rivalry week, and you got all the Pac-12 biggest rivals going up, playing against each other. Then, the next week could be the Big 12, and you can do the ACC and the Big 10 the following, then the SEC, or something, just something like that. And I know Michigan, Ohio State always want to be the last game of the year. I would argue that these rivalries are going to be huge momentum games anyway, even if they're not played the dead last game of the year. Max, you mentioned it once in the group chat. Look at Texas, Oklahoma. They almost never play at the last game of the year, and that game is always awesome and is always atmospheric and always plays huge momentum into who wins the conference or whatnot. So, yeah, that's my pitch. I would also argue, it's funny, or not argue, but I would add to it. It's funny with how commercial and made for TV college football has been that someone hasn't stepped in and thought of dividing this up. I mean, the game's already been morphed so much to how we don't like it, about how, making it best for TV, and yet now you get to rivalry week and all these games that everyone's been anticipating all year. Half of them are going on at the exact same time. And I know multiple TVs, I get that, I do that, but honestly, like, I like to be immersed in my game that I have on. Like Michigan, Ohio State, I'm not going to have any other game on during that time. Gophers versus Badgers, I'm not going to have any other game on that time. Yeah, I'll check other scores and whatnot, but I'm going to watch every snap of that game. It's like a storybook. I want the whole thing of it. I don't want just little clips and the highlights. I like to see the whole thing, and especially in these rivalry games. So that's my pitch. Now I'm ready for pushback, devil's advocate, however you guys feel about it. And I get it. Like, it is nice knowing, like, wow, the whole country's doing rivalry week this week. I get that. But, I mean, come on. We play Iowa. And it's always a huge game. And that's not very often the last game of the year. It has been. But, I don't know. What do you guys think?
I just think I don't disagree with you, Kurt. I mean, what you're saying is if you're a college football fanatic, if you just love watching football, why wouldn't you want to watch some of these great historic games throughout the season? Because you're getting, good product every single weekend throughout the college football season. That makes sense. I guess playing devil's advocate is just like you said, Kurt. I think that football in general, college football is very like American, nationalistic, if you will. People love this last week because it's hate week for everyone across the country. It's just kind of a unifying college football sort of, day that everyone kind of looks to. It's the last game of the season, the penultimate kind of game of the year. Ohio State, Michigan, the Iron Bowl, Georgia Tech, blah, blah, blah. Wisconsin and Minnesota, the list goes on and on and on. I think because of it's almost poetic in a sense. I think that is sort of hard to go away from because people love that opportunity to be like, wow, this last game of the year, not only is it your biggest rival, not only is it like the last game of the year to seal the deal, but this game could potentially mean college football playoff berth, a Big Ten championship, whatever it may be. I think that playing devil's advocate here, because I do agree with you, Kurt, it would be fun for all of us to see the Iron Bowl in the middle of the year or to see Ohio State,
Washington,
Michigan,
Washington State,
Washington,
Oregon,
Washington
Oregon State. Now
State.
the
Yeah.
Friday games have helped. I will admit that, but
Sure, yeah.
yeah,
Well, what if okay, what if rivalry week was throughout the whole week? Maybe that would be a little better because you got every day of college football. It'd be a little
if
more
you could do
chaos,
that
but
and like somehow give everyone right, you'd need the bye week the week before in order to get teams to be
you
able to
need to have a
play.
bye week the week before. But then you got
Uh,
everyone really ready to go for this. You
yeah,
got two
okay.
weeks
You
of
know what? I like that.
anticipation.
And then what you do is you move up that end of the year Army Navy game, and that kicks it off, right? That's like the kickoff to rivalry week is on that Saturday. You give Sunday
That's
and
a great
Monday.
idea,
You give Sunday and Monday to
NFL.
the NFL, and then you come back Tuesday through. Okay, that's great though, but those they look at everything as far as getting people on campus, and people do travel
Yeah,
back home for it, so they want it on a
for sure.
Saturday.
It make
But yeah, as
Of
far as
course.
watching, I that would be like March Madness, but better, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Just of that whole week of, oh, I'm excited, but it's not going to happen. So, uh, yeah, I don't know. I get it, but I would also argue that it's hate week. You could literally build that up 5 different times. I guess 4 times going forward now a year is like, okay, we're into end of October. Now it's hate week for the Big 12. You know what I mean? In the Big 12, you take Texas, Oklahoma, all Kansas State, whatever, all those big rivals, and you just build it up. It's like week to week, and those other games obviously still matter. I think this would never happen either, but if because Auburn, Alabama, and Ohio State, Michigan in particular, I don't think they'll ever move their game from being the last game of the
Of
year,
course not.
and I understand that. So maybe
You
you
could
like,
have a couple the last game of the year. You can, like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? You could have one in
that's
the early
that's what I'm
slot, the
saying.
late
It
slot.
would be
That's
nice
fine.
even if you didn't do it conference by conference, which maybe is easier for your own scheduling. But if you tiered it up nationally, now that's way harder to do, getting every conference to cooperate. But that would be the best way to do it. You can keep
Right.
Auburn, Alabama, keep Ohio State, Michigan, keep Minnesota, Wisconsin, throwing us in there. All the last game of the year, which Actually, I've said before, I don't care if we play Wisconsin last game of the year or not. We haven't always
Right.
played them the last game of the year, and it wasn't that long ago when it wasn't the case. So, but anyway,
Right.
um, yeah, it is what it is. I'll try and soak up as much as possible, but I'm just saying, you're gonna get there at the end of the day, and you're gonna have watched your game, and then every year you look over, it's like, oh, I'm trying to think of one at the end. Oregon State ended up being an awesome game, and I didn't see it because I was watching. Now that's a Friday game this year, so that's a bad example. But you get my point. There's always some crazy rivalry game that you missed because you're watching yours, rightfully so. You should, and it's like, well, if that game would have been on any other weekend, it would have been the game I'm watching, along with the Gophs. That's all I was getting at there. With that, Max, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, I mean I agree. I think doing every single game in the same week, it's impossible. You can't watch them all.
Oh,
But yeah, I think the to play devil's advocate too, the biggest reason why they wouldn't is just the tradition of it, right? I mean, everyone
yeah,
looks forward to it's Thanksgiving weekend. Settle down, you get the Egg Bowl in Mississippi State Thursday night. You get the Friday games, you get all the Saturday
yeah,
games.
yeah.
I don't know. People like things to stay the same. And I guess, it's funny, right? Like we complain about college football changing too much. Maybe it's okay that we keep this one thing, but I
See,
wouldn't mind it.
I get that, but if you're gonna change it, then make this change first. That's my thought.
Right.
Like, I don't want the change to happen, but as long as you're changing it, you might as well make it better for the TV viewer since it's going all through TV anyway at this point. But
Exactly.
I get what you're saying. All right, now we are on to your SkiUPod parlay of the week. Let's check the results from last week. Oh shoot. Another miss for SkyUPod. But you know what? We learned, and now we're here. And maybe the most difficult week to hit the parlays because it's rivalry week. And all those challenges that are into play with that, you never know what's going to happen in those games. We're going to get you some money this week, folks. All right? So listen up. Max, what is your lock for this final SkyUPod parlay of the season?
Um, my lock that I think I just decided 2 seconds ago because I had so many swimming through my head. We are gonna go Florida State -6.5 over the Gators. You might be thinking, what? Jordan Travis, he's out. They're dead. Well, Florida State's still really good. They can still
Yeah.
run the ball. Their defense is still really good. And Florida also lost their starting quarterback in Graham Mertz. So, quarterbacks negated. Obviously, Travis meant more to Florida State than Mertz did to Florida. Um, my biggest concern is that this game is in Gainesville. Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, Florida State is still playing for the playoffs, so I don't think there's any reason why they can't win by more than a touchdown. Um, but yeah, really that one compared to the other ones that I had, there's just this one feels the safest.
Yeah. Shooty, you got yours yet?
Oh boy, like you said, Kurt, this is a very tough one. I'm going to go on a nerve-wracking one. You know, this one, I don't know if you guys will like. Actually, in fact, I know you guys won't like this, but it's rivalry week. It's intense. We like drama, all right? Notre Dame travels to Stanford. Notre Dame is 26-point favorites. I got the Irish
Ooh.
going to Stanford, covering that 26. Luck of the Irish. Lucky for you guys watching us out there, making some money this week. Go Irish.
Yeah. You know what? I can't fault you. Overall, you've been pretty hot. So I will, you know, you
Stanford's
see
really bad.
you see things I don't, Shooty. That's what I'm trying to get at. Yeah. Okay. I'm going with the big one. The line's close. I get it. They haven't been the same team without Harbaugh, but I'm locking in Michigan. I'm taking Michigan -3 at home against Ohio State. It should be a terrific game. I know that since they've been caught, kind of, and haven't had the signals that Michigan hasn't looked quite the same. I just think that they're the better team, to be honest. You can say they're pissed off, yada, yada, yada. I kind of believe that Ryan Day's got the yips a little bit right now with this team. So, yeah, I'm going to take Michigan -3. I think they win by at least a touchdown.
I
Kind of
think they
similar.
destroy them.
Think so?
I
Yeah,
think that they win by at least 2 touchdowns. I do.
wow. I think so. I think it's going to be the same game as we've seen for the most part. Even 2 years ago, where it ended as a
Yeah.
blowout, it was like tight at half, and then Michigan just seems to make the adjustments and hits one big play, and that just seems to be like Ohio State can't quite get it going against that Michigan defense, which is really good. Kyle McCord, he just isn't that guy for the Buckeyes. It doesn't seem
Right.
like this year. So that's me putting a lot
I
of
think
words
that's
out
the
there
difference.
for taking Michigan. So would you guys have all say I didn't pick it? We were going to pick that game. Would you have taken Michigan in that spread?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
All right,
Yeah.
I feel like compared to
all
last
right,
year too, like Michigan just got better and they were
yeah,
already really good. Ohio State improved defensively, but yeah, offensively,
Yeah.
obviously still good, but not,
right.
all the pressure's on Ohio State, it feels like too, to get it done.
Exactly, and it's just so like it's going to be so weird. Like, is that defense for Ohio State going to last the whole time when they are probably getting less help from the offense? I know they changed it up schematically, so that's what I'm going to be interested in watching is just how long maybe they can last. Maybe they're that good where they're going to wear down Michigan and not the vice versa happen. But we'll see. Um, now, I'm really going to try and limit the games because I could pick all of these because it's rivalry week. Every game is a big game. So I'm going to do my best here. We'll start with these three. I always love picking this one. I love that they picked up the playing on Thanksgiving tradition. Ole Miss versus Mississippi State. It's in Starkville, so Mississippi State's the home team. And Ole Miss is a 10-point favorite over the Bulldogs. Man, Mississippi State just fired their coach, so I am gonna go with Ole
Yeah.
Miss in this one. Because if they win, they probably lock up a New Year's Six bowl, or if not, the next best thing. So I'll go Ole Miss, but it just seems like Mississippi State comes out absolutely fighting every year in this game, especially since it's been moved to Thanksgiving. So, um, yeah, I'm gonna stay with Ole Miss though.
Yeah. I agree, Kurt. They just fired Mississippi State just fired their head coach. I think that just kind of gives you an edge if you're Ole Miss, and they're fighting for that New Year's Six bowl. So I got Ole Miss.
Yeah, I do as well. Um, I think the number two being under 2 touchdowns is huge. Could be closer in the first half, but Ole Miss has just got that explosiveness, and Mississippi State, yeah, it's kind of tough year.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Friday morning now, Iowa versus Nebraska. You might think, why are you picking this one? Iowa's already got the West locked up. Nebraska beat these guys last year to prevent them from winning the West. So maybe Iowa trying to get revenge game. It is in Lincoln, and this is a shocker. Nebraska -2.5 points. So they are favored against the Big Ten West champs. Gosh, I have no reason to think this. I just think Nebraska does it for some reason this week. For literally I don't know why, but maybe the last year game just stuck in my head a little bit. I don't know. But I just feel like they make a push because they really I mean they Nebraska fans have taken that Iowa rivalry pretty seriously for the most part. Like they really dislike Iowa. So I think Matt Rule's going to be pushing him pretty hard to make a bowl game in his first year, or something Nebraska hasn't done. So I guess that's the
Yeah.
justification I can come up with. I wouldn't bet money on it. They Nebraska can't hang on to the football, and then they just seem to get out to these leads and then can't hold them. So I don't really know what's going on with them, but I'm going to pick up Bill in this one.
Yeah.
Go get them.
I think I
Go
agree
Scoop.
with you, Kurt. I think that Nebraska, they're always kind of sold out, but this is going to be a big game because this is for their bowl game that they've been like just dying to have for the past
This is
several
a Super Bowl
seasons.
for them. I really
This
think
is their
that.
Super Bowl. They win this, they all, and they'll all travel to this bowl game. I mean, this is a
Yeah.
huge deal, I think, for the Cornhuskers. They'll be ready to play. Iowa's defense is tremendous, and Nebraska's been suffering at the quarterback position, I think, but I think that they'll be able to get the edge. Iowa's offense is horrible. I got the Huskers covering.
Yeah, definitely a big game for Nebraska, like you said. I mean, this is their entire season, and Iowa's already got the West locked up. But it does feel like Iowa and like Kirk Ferentz, like they never, just roll over, right? Like you don't really see them have as big of letdown spots as other programs do, maybe. But
Yeah.
it is obviously, Nebraska, especially coming off that close loss to Wisconsin last week, like they're just going to be that much more motivated. And then two, I thought Purdy actually looked okay at the
Yeah.
quarterback position for Nebraska, just being able to run the ball. I mean, no one can really pass. I think I said that. Um, I can't remember if that was last week's or the Big Ten huddle thing, but I don't think Nebraska has like a real quarterback on their roster. So if they can have a guy that can at least move the ball down the field in some
Right.
shape or form, that's a positive. But I'm gonna take Iowa. I don't think
I
there's
don't
any
blame you. I
reason
feel like
why
it's a smart
Nebraska
pick.
can score. And actually, one note too, if anyone is a nerd like me and looks at what the computer models predict, um, you know, you can find them on the internet anywhere. Like they'll predict the score for every single game. This one broke every model. The predicted score is Iowa -1 to Nebraska -3, total of -4 points.
That's incredible.
So I think the under is like 26.5 as well. So
Yeah, a new record. They just
again,
continue to find them. Um, yeah, I love that game. That game has been so entertaining. Literally the last 3 years, it seems like. But yeah, and then Friday night, guys. I've alluded to it a few times. Oregon State at Oregon. Oregon's a 13.5 point favorite. I'm kind of torn. I'm going to go with the Ducks just because it is the last hurdle for them to get to that revenge game. But Oregon State is a very good team. That game between them and Washington was really good for the most part last week. Washington pulled it out, obviously. So I want Oregon State. I really do, just to pull off the upset and just be a big, kind of a little bit of a middle finger to be like, all right, everyone's ditching us. How about we just, ruin it for the Pac-12 in a way. But I'll go with the Ducks here in this one.
Yep, I got the Ducks. Nothing really else to say. I just think they're a great team this year.
yeah.
Quack.
I hope they blow them out, but uh, I think I have to take Oregon State to cover. I don't know. They always play this one so close. It feels like no matter what, and all the pressure's on Oregon too. So Oregon State can really just play loose and say it was 13 and a
Yeah,
half.
yeah, 13.5.
Yeah, I'll take the
Yeah,
Beavers to cover.
nice. All right, the Iron Bowl. You got Alabama at Auburn. Alabama 14.5 point favorites. Auburn coming off a kind of a beatdown actually to New Mexico State last week by the hands of old Jerry Kill. And yeah, I at 14.5, because this is another one where like Auburn can suck and then just give Alabama fits. I'm gonna take Bama, and it does scare me a little bit just because of the huge rivalry and you know it being in Auburn. But I'll go Bama minus 14.5. I really like their quarterback the last half of the season.
I got to go with Bama too. I just think that's an easy pick personally. I just think that they'll handle Auburn, especially after that loss to Jerry. Credit to Jerry. He's had this team going well. They're going to their championship. I'm
Yeah,
happy for him. But yeah, I think that the tide will just roll them.
Yep.
Man, this is another one. I think I'm going to go Auburn.
Yeah,
Really no reason other than we saw what they did last week. They obviously did not care about New Mexico State. Um, I
that's
don't
the thing
know.
though. They got smacked. Like it
They
wasn't like
did.
a last second field
Yeah.
goal.
Yeah, I don't know. Alabama, I mean, Alabama's been cruising, but it's
Yeah,
kind of like obviously Auburn. I mean, Auburn's not bad, but like, how long can it last for Alabama too? Like, they got to keep it rolling. So,
Yeah.
I got you. I respect it. All right, Rutgers at Maryland. Here's a dog I like. I'm sorry, Maryland at Rutgers. Maryland's a 1 point favorite. Both teams 6-5. Both teams going to a bowl. I think Maryland's last all-out effort was last week against Michigan. They could easily win this game. I think this game means more to Rutgers at this point. Give me Rutgers at home to beat the Maryland Terrapins. Sorry, had a burp almost come out there. Fought it back.
Yeah. I'm going to just go with Maryland. 1 point. They're the favorite. I do want this Rutgers team to win. I just have a feeling they won't.
Yeah,
yeah, I think I'm going to go Maryland too. I want Rutgers. They're kind of a fun team to root for just because,
because it's
I
Rutgers.
don't know. Yeah, it's like good old Rutgers. Like, what they ever do wrong? But
Ray
yeah, I don't
Rice.
know. They just, well, that was in Baltimore. That was in Baltimore.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't know. Maryland
Yeah.
can score, I guess. Rutgers defense is good, or their
Yeah, I
biggest
just
strength. But
Tagovailoa, I can't say it. Whatever his name is, can't hold on to the football half the time. So I'm going Rutgers
No.
for that reason. But you all give valid points. All right, Washington State at Washington. Washington has gone through the gauntlet, and I've seen people try and, you know, yeah, I think it's fair to point out their struggles. I would argue that they've played the toughest schedule. Maybe out. Yeah, I think I would put them slightly above Ohio State at this point as far as toughest resume and most impressive wins. Just because even the bad teams in the Pac-12 are sitting there at like 6-6. Or I shouldn't say bad teams, but like the lesser wins. Like Washington State is sitting there at 5-6 right now. I just I think Washington State's a pretty good team. I think compared to the rest of the nation this year. So I just don't want Washington to be discredited for winning close down the stretch here against these teams that they're supposed to beat, I guess. But anyway, all that being said, I like Washington to win. I like Washington State plus 16.5. I think that's a lot of points. I think Washington State has everything, to go into this game firing. You're getting left behind. You have a chance to ruin your rival's season and really maybe the whole Pac-12 season if Washington loses this game. So yeah, I'm going to take Washington State plus that many points. So
yeah, I agree. Basically the same reason as Oregon State and Oregon. I mean, it's a big rivalry, and Washington State too. I mean, with Cam Ward, like they still have solid quarterback play that
yeah,
keeping it within basically under 17. I mean, it's not really even that big of a task. So
right.
the
I
good old
got the Huskies. I got the Huskies. No
I like
particular
it.
reason. I just think that they're on a mission this year. They have a chance really to kind of just solidify that they deserve to be in the playoff. They can't really have any hiccups. They can win this game, I guess, but not by winning that much. But I think they're going to try and prove that point. So I
Yeah,
got the Huskies.
yeah, I get that. All right, let's just end it with this one for fun. Big Ten game, 2:30 BTN Network. You got Northwestern traveling to Illinois. Illinois is a 5.5 point favorite. So the only thing, go ahead if you guys like a obvious one. I like Illinois to win. I don't know if they cover that full 5.5. That's the only thing I'm stuck on.
I think I
Maybe they
got
do by
Northwestern
touchdown.
covering this, and I do think Northwestern ekes out a win. Um,
Interesting.
I just think, you know, this team has been going through everything since the preseason, with their
Yeah.
whole coach getting fired, all these ups and downs,
They're
and I'm
going to a
impressed with
bowl.
that. I mean, can you
Yeah.
just imagine that? I mean, that is pretty impressive. You know, I got to give all the credit to those athletes. That's amazing, given to what all the drama that's happened. There's light
Yeah.
at the end of the tunnel for this team. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
next year, they're going to be formidable. But yeah, I just think that they're kind of just they're having fun. It seems like, you know what I mean. All things
Yeah.
considered, what's happened, they're having fun, and I think that continues this weekend.
Yeah, I'd take Northwestern as well, and I think they can definitely win. I think it's closer to probably a 50-50 game. And yeah, I mean Northwestern's just been rolling. They've really shown nothing that would tell you that it's going
Yeah.
to stop.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be a close game no matter what. So I think I'll lean Northwestern with you guys and take the point. Shout out David Braun, Winona State alum, baby, right here in Minnesota.
Over to the Midwest.
Yeah, that's right. All right, very quickly here as well. It's been a long one, guys. Hope you've stuck with us here. If you do like the content, please like and subscribe to both the YouTube channel and follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Leave a 5-star review, even if you think we're trash. Just want to give a shout out here. So many seniors. I probably won't get to them out. Chris Ottman Bell. So many great Gopher memories here. Brevin Spanford. Maybe not the season you wanted. Overall, very, very good career here for the Ghosts. Tyler Newman, of course. So many other. I know I'm missing. Half the old line is like a 6th-year starter that stuck around, got into games other
Bryce
years.
Williams, if he's not here next
Bryce
year,
Williams, who didn't get to finish the year, I think he's already used up his medical as well, so he
yeah.
is going to be gone. So many great memories from you guys, so really do appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed your time here. We've enjoyed watching you, and let's go out and get that axe, keep it home, and yeah, extend the streak, baby. See you next time.